All right, everyone. Now we have a more serious suggestion. The suggestion that we're going to annex Canada, for example, is nothing more than Trump bloviating about his tariff situation. The same is true of China and stuff like that. Oh, we'll grab a Hunan province or something like that. It's not going to happen. But there is now a more serious suggestion, which is retaking the Panama Canal. And I actually support this. You could do it without a shot being fired. It's not like the Panamanian military is actually crazy enough to try to fight the U.S. Army or anything like that. Woke DEI as aside, we just downed one of our own Hornets accidentally. Whoops, that was a really problem with the USS Gettysburg actually the other day. Our military would absolutely crush a nation like Panama, so fighting would not be happening. We built the Panama Canal. The French started it, but then they abandoned the project actually about 20 years later because of attrition. We then proceeded to throw thousands of lives into making the Panama Canal. A big problem then was yellow fever actually, among other tropical diseases. The original canal was built entirely by the U.S., more or less, and has massively increased shipping between the Atlantic and the Pacific. It's an enormous economic boon. I mean, you couldn't even calculate probably the amount of money that has been saved and the amount of fuel, by the way, environmentalists, that's been saved by cutting down the shipping times and not forcing ships to go down below the coast of South America through the subarctic. It's an enormous amount. It's probably in the trillions of dollars quite easily. The investment definitely paid off. The United States built a lock system in order to allow ships to traverse across Panama, because it makes a lot more sense than going several thousand miles out of your way for absolutely no reason when you're capable of doing so. Fairly recently, of course, the Panama Canal was actually expanded, adding a third shipping lane, and a larger one that allows ships of greater tonnage to actually go through. It is a huge economic boon, and Panama has been taxing U.S. vessels excessively, according to Donald Trump. And he doesn't want them to do that anymore. Now, we unwisely decided to cede joint control of the Panama Canal in, I believe, 77 under Carter, if I remember correctly. And then Bill Clinton sealed the deal in 1999 and gave full control of the Panama Canal back to Panama. But we were holding that land. We built the canal. It's ours. It belongs to us. I don't believe in going to war against the Panamanians. Just to be clear, I'm not doing the world policing thing. I'm simply saying, let's take back something that we already built to begin with and should control, and, then we can prevent any taxation of U.S. vessels. Considering the amount of tonnage that goes through there from the U.S., because a lot of it's east to west coast or west to east coast and stuff like that, it sort of makes sense to hold on to that canal. We never should have given it up fully in the first place. Having a joint authority like we had, during the 70s and 80s and into the tail end of the 90s is perfectly fine. After all, it is Panamanian soil. But having the ability to put our ships specifically through the Panama Canal and not have to pay a tax on it would be a huge economic boon. I would actually support this. I wouldn't support actually invading Canada to annex them, for example. The Canadians are friends, and it's a big country, and there's no reason, and it's not going to become the 51st state. Trump is basically just trolling Trudeau at this point. But, and he may not actually be in office very long. I mean, he could literally resign today. But the Panama Canal is a different story entirely. We're talking about a very small area of land. It's like 50 miles long. You could annex a mile on either side without inconveniencing anyone conceivably, because it's literally all about the canal. We would no longer have a tax on our shipping. It would lower costs in the United States. And if Panama wants to continue to harass our vessels and basically extort them, then we should probably do something about that. This is how the War of 1812 started. It had to do with the impressment of soldiers by British troops. They were raiding merchant vessels that were U.S. flagged, and they were enslaving the sailors to work on deck and stuff like that. When we get harassed and abused by another country, we should act. If they're not doing anything particularly pernicious, we should ignore them, conduct normal diplomacy, everything's fine. But yes, restoring U.S. control, at least in part, of the Panama Canal I think would be a very, very good idea. It's good economically. It's actually good diplomatically. It gives us a foothold down where we had a foothold to begin with, and it was very, very useful at the time. Panama is not capable anyway single-handedly of maintaining the canal. It requires continued U.S. support anyway, so why not? The trilaterals, including Japan actually, I believe was the third party, were the ones that sort of ensured its stability for an extended period of time. But now we're being taxed on our vessels in a canal that we ourselves built simply because Bill Clinton decided, I'm going to give the Panamanians back their canal. Well, they didn't build it. The Panamanians never even conceived of bothering to build a canal there. The United States largely was the one responsible for building it. We lost thousands and thousands of lives to yellow fever building it. Thousands of people died to create this shipping channel, the most important in the entire world. More important than the goddamn Suez Canal, I believe, as far as shipping tonnage. We should probably expand it even further. Add 5 more lanes. Fuck it. Why not? We are capable of doing this. We're capable of stomaching the cost. It's just that the United States civic structure has degraded to such a point that people don't even dream big anymore. I think Trump still does. He might actually be serious about this particular venture. He's not serious about annexing Canada. Trudeau gets all hot and bothered over this, and it's like, dude, you are absolutely the junior of the United States government in every way, shape, and form. You also look like it's junior. You're relatively non-geriatric. Hey, so, there's the silver lining to an otherwise very dark Canadian cloud. But the Panama Canal is exceptionally important. I don't think people realize how much cost would rise if it were ever blockaded or something like that. Maybe we should have a military presence there. That's all I'm saying. That's about all. Peace out.